Thank you for joining us on another Coffee Break Technology Series. We're excited this morning to talk about this kind of mythical creature of BYOD, or bring your own device, a topic that has been discussed many times over the years. Some have tried and failed, others have not tried, but think that they want to, and some things may have changed recently with some really strong players in the market to maybe make this a little bit more of a reality. So I'm excited to be joined today by our Director of Solutions, Paul Hager. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning, Jeff.
How are you today?
Good.
Great. So we want to talk about this BYOD thing, but a quick reminder, we would love to hear from you about questions you might have. So please use the Q&A icon at the bottom of the Zoom controls to post your questions, and we'll do our best to answer those either throughout this presentation, or if we need to, we'll follow up with you individually on your question. So let's get started. Paul, this BYOD thing, as I mentioned earlier, bring your own device, has been talked about for years. In some cases has worked out, and others has just not for many organizations that we've worked with. But why is this now a relevant topic for us to be talking about today?
Yeah, bring your own device, like I said, mythical creature. And when you say it, IT directors and IT leaders and business owners sometimes get this look in their face like, oh, because to them it implies corporate information going on a non-corporate device. And that, just that statement probably gives folks in this call heart palpitations. But what we're going to talk today about is, good BYOD done right, meaning that you have put together the technologies, policies, and procedures to enable your workforce to be able to use their own devices to securely do corporate work, and for the corporation to be able to secure and have comfort knowing that corporate data stays with corporate data and personal data stays with personal data. So what's leveraging this? Why is this a more popular topic that's coming up more? Is, unfortunately, the word that everybody knows, COVID-19. That sent people home, and there weren't enough devices available. So we had a supply chain. We still have a supply chain issue, where there's not enough transistors, not enough screens, not enough of everything. And there are enough devices in all of our hands, right? We walk around with, just went through an airport yesterday, and one airport said, leave everything in the bag. The next one said I could take out had to take out all my devices. So that was a phone, an e-reader, a tablet, and a laptop. Because I've got a personal device for reading a book and corporate device and everything in between. In reality, everybody probably only needs one device. So at this point, a cell phone and some sort of access device of some nature. But the lack of devices available and the need for people to be able to work anywhere, I think that's why we're talking about BYOD more every single week with our clients.
Yeah, there's no question it seems to be coming up a lot more, and the volume of devices, but also that many organizations are considering this hybrid model of work from the office, work from home, work in between, and how do you secure devices? How do you hold on to inventory? How do you recover devices when people make career changes? Right. Those have all sparked more and more conversations that we've been involved in over the last year, but probably more acutely over the last 90 days, as people are kind of navigating the return to some new form of the workplace.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point that we've worked with some of our clients on. Is we have a client that's shipping out devices for every new hire, and they're shipping the FedEx return box, assuming their termination with their new hire stuff, in hopes that they'll get the device back. But they're not getting a substantial percentage of those devices back, versus a BYOD policy that says, in order to be employed here, we're going to add a stipend to your paycheck in this amount. You go get the device, you will own it. It's going to meet these criteria, but that way they can, win the lottery and go get another position somewhere else, and the business isn't out.
Yeah, I just saw a question pop up from the audience that I think is a good one. We hear a lot about security concerns with the work from home approach, more attack surfaces, and everybody's outside of the firewall and all of those things. Is that myth, or is there some truth to the fact that an organization increases their potential security risk when devices are out of the network and kind of in different places?
Yeah, I think it's a fair question and a good one. Like I said, kind of at the top, we're assuming BYOD done correctly, meaning that the device enrolls in some sort of MDM or mobile device management platform. And when we say mobile device, people think of cell phones, but mobile device means any BYOD device. It could be a desktop, a laptop, a thin client, a Chromebook, or a cell phone from any manufacturer. Done correctly, that enrollment process starts to establish the rules of this part of this device is corporate, and this device now needs to meet these security requirements. The device needs to be encrypted. The device needs to have a password that meets this level of security. They need to two-factor authenticate into corporate work, either every time or a set number of times, or when the system's AI determines the logins have become strange and abnormal in some way. And those requirements coming from an MDM solution means that it's not less secure. That in fact, that end device could have either your MDM policy could enforce that it has antivirus on it, or your policy can be, we don't care whether that endpoint necessarily even has something like antivirus or is up to date, because there's no interactivity between that device and maybe a cloud desktop that they've been given. And in that way, it's really just a screen, a minor CPU, and a keyboard. It's a way to get to a secure environment that you're giving them access to. Done incorrectly, it can be a huge security risk. If you were just bolting VPNs to people's home machines that have broad access to your entire network, that would be pretty dangerous, and we would definitely not recommend that. So this is kind of what I said, right? There's BYOD done with security in mind, and BYOD done, incorrectly, and you get vastly different outcomes. One is efficient and secure, and one is pretty risky to the business.
So one of our primary partners, Microsoft, has made some pretty significant announcements lately. One that many heard about, which was this kind of relatively unexpected new operating system in Windows 11.
Yeah.
And another one that most people probably didn't pay that much attention to, but we think is pretty significant. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so that announcement, really, it's a technology that's been around for a year, but it hit kind of the way Microsoft rolls stuff out in Azure is they'll have an early release and a first revision of GA or general availability. And then they tend to go back behind the hood after that first GA release and take all the feedback from partners and then customers and come out with kind of a revision 2. I remind people that Office 365 used to be called BPOS, the Business Productivity Suite. And it had a pretty rough, a little bit of a bumpy launch, but when it relaunched, boy, did they get it right. And Office 365, represented a fundamental change to technology, I think, in the business world for years to come. Windows Virtual Desktops, now renamed in its kind of 2.5 revision as Azure Virtual Desktops, because it can run Linux operating systems as well as Windows, is one of those big fundamental technology shifts, we believe. And it economically allows you to run a secure cloud-based desktop in Microsoft Azure, leveraging this platform called Windows 10 Multi-Session, which is a brand new way for people to be able to log into a remote PC. We've been logging into remote PCs the same way for 20 plus years, since Windows Terminal Server was invented in the early 2000s. We've used Terminal Server in the Windows world, now called Remote Desktop Services, but it is just Terminal Server based on Windows 2000 technology, or a VPN, a virtual private network, which has been around even longer than that. Windows 10 Multi-Session securely and reverse connects you from the cloud, reaches down to your device and securely connects whatever your device may be, Linux-based, Chrome-based, Apple-based, and it gives you a fully functional Windows 10 desktop at this point. Will be a Windows 11 desktop when Windows 11 goes to GA as well, or sometime around the holidays. And really gives you the cloud economics for individual devices, and I think really enhances the value of a BYOD concept.
Yeah, you have been pretty excited about this as soon as you started to dig into it a little bit more. what is, I mean, to the general listener in our audience, what's the radical change here different than some of the other tools that are out there, some of the other big names that have done this kind of remote or virtual or thin client concept? What is kind of the business user or business owners, 3 bullet points that make this unique?
Yeah. So first and foremost is this Windows 10 multi-session concept, where a single Azure device running a real version of Windows 10, but a unique one, not a server emulating Windows 10, but actual Windows 10, that can have multiple people logged into it. It can share the same resource, gives it the cloud brand new economics. A one-to-one virtual machine to employee in Azure public cloud was going to be expensive, and now the economics of that get much better. The second one would be this reverse connection technology. The fact that Microsoft is handling all the brokerage, all the security of the connection, and handling the connection itself. Whether it's Citrix or remote desktop services or VPN, there's always something else you need to run just to securely get people logged into their device. And it's the end user initiating a connection to some public facing IP address on a customer network that they then have to manage the security of. Microsoft's handling all of that, and the connection reaches from the cloud down to your device. Your device isn't actively seeking a public connection somewhere, which from a protect the bad guys from getting in perspective, it is significantly more secure. And lastly, and really the bellwether I've been using for whether VDI is really ready for mainstream end users versus very specific use cases, is Zoom and Microsoft Teams have come out with Azure Virtual Desktop specific versions of their application that make video calls and conference calls work like they work on a local machine in a virtual desktop environment. And for me, with how much time we spend on these video conference calls, anyone who's tried to do that on a terminal server can attest to the fact that it either just doesn't work or it doesn't work well. And Azure Virtual Desktop's change and the specific changes they made to the technology to uniquely support still streaming that USB camera from whatever device you have into that Teams call and it actually working. That's when I said, ooh, this technology, all the geeky stuff, the security benefits, the Windows 10 multi-session, that stuff's really neat, but this is what makes it usable for the standard user today, and is really exciting.
So I'm gonna put you on the spot. I have more of the business mind than the technical mind. So what? So the technology now allows you to do all of the things that you could do with the desktop, seemingly relatively straightforward, right? And the capability to do video calls. So why would an organization truly consider this? What are the benefits of what this could deliver to an organization in the short term and in the long term?
Yeah, no, it's a fair question. Businesses spend a lot of time and a lot of money to protect data wherever it lies. And we have come to accept the fact, and our customers are buying in mass laptops because desktops got stuck at the office during COVID. And we talk about security risk. We are giving people devices that they put into a backpack, into their car while the kids are at baseball, and their corporate data is sitting there on those devices. And then we have to manage them and protect them and invest a lot of money in securing them, because the bad day most likely is going to start on one of those devices and then come back and attack a corporate resource. With BYOD, with Azure Virtual Desktops, we completely changed that script. Those endpoints aren't the thing that we need to protect the world from attacking. We don't care what those endpoints are. We don't need to invest in security there. We can invest in security at the core of the network, at the server level. We can do better there because we're not having to manage so many individual devices. And then if I'm a business owner, I want to be able to work from anywhere, from any device. I touch a lot of devices. I've touched my kids' Chromebook and helped them with their homework. I've worked from my phone as much as I've needed to. I like Apple devices and tablets. I think they're pretty neat. I like Surface devices. Every one of those has a different, files go to a different place. I can get email on a lot of those devices, but it's not the same experience. with a virtual desktop technology that truly works, no matter what the connection device is. Again, it's a screen, a minor CPU, and a keyboard and a mouse. It's a way to get to the same environment. My desktop is always my desktop. My data is always secured. It's always backed up, and I can get at it from anywhere that I have an internet connection. That really empowers your workforce to work however it works best for them, while giving the business the ability to still maintain it. And IT is here to serve and make your employees productive, wildly productive, so that they can produce the outcomes for your business. So I think if I'm a business owner, that's where I'm focused. Yes, I want to protect my house. I want to make sure new technology doesn't helps my security posture, doesn't make it harder. But I really want to make sure my employees can work every day as productively as possible. And I think this technology does that.
So productivity, it sounds like there's some significant potential benefits with productivity, because you're not kind of potentially hampered by the device that the individual has. You're running off of the more advanced cloud infrastructure to do all of those things. Security, clearly there's significant enhancements and possibilities there. There could be some cost benefits, because you don't have to maybe invest as much in the individual's hardware. Yep. Because now you just kind of need a window, so you could have less expensive, smaller form factor, potentially more mobile device that they carry around, that we've already talked about being secure. So those are kind of the big bullets.
Yeah, that's a good point. The money one is an important one. I have a fantastic Surface laptop. It's a great device. Enjoy working on it as my primary device. That's a $2,000 to $3,000 device because of all the horsepower you put into that physical device. The Surface Go, or the Surface Go laptop, is a $600 to $800 device, has the same docking connector, can drive as many monitors and keyboards as my expensive Surface laptop does. And if all the horsepower lives in the cloud, then there's no reason I can't use that Go. And that becomes my e-reader, because it's really a tablet. And it's still a version of Windows 10 that can be locked down and secured as an endpoint within Microsoft Intune's MDM. But to me, it's transparent, and I get that one desktop experience, and the business gets the benefit of a much smaller, much less expensive device.
Or potentially even taken further, the business doesn't have to be in the business of buying and providing users hardware, potentially.
Potentially, yeah. Give your users a stipend for cell phone and device. Recommend that they go to the Microsoft Store and acquire one of these 3 devices based on what keyboard and mouse input they would like. And then send that new employee their credentials for their first day. It will enroll them in Intune automatically. It'll secure the device. It'll make them set up 2-factor and Windows Hello facial recognition, and they're off and going. It's secure, and the business isn't in the business of devices anymore. The other thing that's worth noting about Azure Virtual Desktops being leveraged in this way is if you're using pooled desktops where it's very dynamic, those desktops can be shut down at night, and then you don't pay for the evening when you don't need compute. That's elastic utility-based cloud computing. And every time a user logs in, they're actually getting a new instance of Windows 10 with their profile and customizations injected as they log in. So it's like that fresh, I got a new device feeling every day. And the security risks, right? If every time you reboot, you're actually getting the first day of that operating system, a lot less vulnerable because your IT department can just say, have you just logged off? Because you'll get a new desktop when you log back in. That solves a lot of issues.
We don't have a ton of time left in the discussion, but let's kind of kick the can down the road 2, 3, 4, 5 years. What do you envision? And of course, we don't have a crystal ball to know, but what could this lead to? What kind of possibilities does this provide for organizations to be thinking about what kind of the future of office technology looks like?
Yeah, my crystal ball has been broken since March 1st of 2020. But in the technology world, if I look down the road 3 years ahead, I can see, and Windows 11, I think, gives us a hint to it as well. Windows 11 natively runs Linux applications and Android applications. And I think that's a statement that Microsoft is going to lean into. They got into the cell phone game a little bit with the Surface Duo, that phone that folds that is really Android based. I don't I think Windows 11 is a statement again that Microsoft is going to continue to drive towards that space. This isn't me talking from NDA information from Microsoft, just me making educated guesses about the market. There is definitely enough horsepower in the phone in your pocket today, whether it be a Microsoft device, an Apple device, or an Android, to run multiple screens, a keyboard, and a mouse. And if the future of computing is cloud-based, which I think directionally that's where we're headed, whether it be hosted private cloud on premise or public cloud, I definitely see a world in which you sit down and just plug your phone in and leverage the CPU that it has and the graphics capability it has to set up multiple monitors, a keyboard and a mouse, connect to your resources, and off you go. And then we're just talking about reimbursing people for cell phone plans like we do all the time. I think about that world. We spend so much money on redundant SD-WANs and multi-office connections. What if we don't need any of that? And has your 4G or 5G ever gone down on your cell phone? No. It's such a mesh system already. Do offices even need to pay for that? Do offices need to be as big as they used to be? We're asking all of these questions, and COVID has partially pushed us down a hill into a more diverse work experience and environment, and more dynamic. And I think devices will follow with that.
Yeah, it's kind of a cool idea to think about, walking into your office and either there's one cable that goes into your phone that powers all of that, or that it does it through, some kind of Bluetooth or other type of connection. And when you're ready, you grab your phone and go to the conference room, and it all goes with you without having to unplug the laptop and grab your phone and grab a tablet, a notepad and all of those things. Interesting to think about. So we've kind of touched on this a little bit, but we have a much bigger discussion, including some show and tell planned for an upcoming event. So I want to make sure that we spend a little bit of time talking about that. Paul, you on Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, the 13th, you're going to do a thought leadership webinar, which is 100% focused on this whole, Windows Virtual Desktop concept, and ensuring that we're kind of pulling up the covers, talking about the different types of devices, the different ways to access it, maybe a little bit more for the group about what you're planning to talk about.
Yeah, really excited to be presenting this topic, giving away a pair of Surface earbuds, but even more than the giveaway, we're going to be, like you said, doing some show and tell. If what you heard today sparks your interest, but you want to see it, it's not quite material to you until you understand what a reverse connection looks like, then come join us next week. Those questions will be answered and more. And people like a demonstration. I think they like to see what we have done in the background with my emerging solutions group, what we've got in the lab, the device types that we have and played with. And we're going to show off some of that stuff and the neat future that is here today.
The way to register for that is at alevityit.com/events. So you'll find both the thought leadership webinar and also something else that's new that we're offering, which we're pretty excited about and have had a pretty good response to so far, is that we are providing some training, some more advanced training. We're calling Mastering Microsoft Teams, and a couple workshops, one for administrators that gets kind of into the back end, and one for power users. Those users in your organization that love to chase after the new shiny thing, or even those that just need to be better at utilizing Teams. A couple different sessions, 2-hour sessions that we'll be providing. There's some costs associated with those. They're online type of training, so you don't have to worry about travel or being away from the office too much. But we're excited about this and want to make sure that you're aware of this option, which is Mastering Microsoft Teams. And lastly, grab your phone, snap a picture, or have your phone hover over this QR code to get your coffee card for attending. You can also fill out a form at form.typeform.com, and a bunch of things after that slash. I'll leave that up here till the end. So Paul, great information. Obviously, we're very excited about this. The current version of BYOD and the possibilities that will provide our customers. We're excited about what the possibility that provides us. I love to have the opportunity to have less devices to carry around. So exciting stuff, exciting technology, and exciting to think about what the future could be like. So thanks again for joining, and we look forward to hearing more about this topic on Tuesday during your thought leadership webinar.
Yeah, that's great to talk to you. And folks, again, reach out to your Alevity contacts if you're an existing client or looking to become a client, this is the type of strategy we help with. BYOD planning. We help with the policy side, not just the technical side. And we have had some great clients being willing to share their BYOD policies with each other and leverage our strategy team, our VCIOs and solution architects and CIOs that help businesses make these fundamental shifts and help manage the change within your organization. That's what Alebdi is here for: your strategy, your security, your support and technology.
Great. Have a great weekend, everyone. Thanks again, and we look forward to talking to you again.